Hello and welcome to a game of Ice and Fire. When we last left off, Sir Merrick Sand had been leading a small group from Skrel Castle to investigate a shipwreck near the southern shore of the island. After several days of hard riding, they made their way to a crescent-shaped stretch of beach where they discovered bandits looting corpses. The party laid waste to the almost 20 bandits, with only one surviving long enough for them to briefly interrogate. It was revealed that the bandits had killed the survivors of the shipwreck, and it was left to Martan to decide what was to be done with the man. He said that he didn't want to rot in a cell and offered to take the black instead, but Martan thought it unlikely the man would make it to the wall and had him executed by Radava. Martan next approached the small boat that had scraped up onto the shore, finding a dead septon lying across a long wooden box. On further investigation, Martan saw that the priest had lost his tongue and that the wound appeared to be old. The box itself was unlocked, having been broken into by the bandits, and inside lay a long, thin black rock, twisted with sharp edges. The party also found assorted weapons, armor, and coin stashed away in the hastily prepared camp on the shore. Now, before we get into things tonight, I want to apologize for my voice. Obviously, I'm getting over a small cold. Not COVID, but just a small cold. And I wanted to clarify, once we bring everybody in, that if any of you took damage in the fight, the way that damage and healing stuff works, any damage to your health is removed at the end of combat. So if you took any damage, it is gone. Only injuries and wounds will persist after combat. So if you don't take any injuries or any wounds, after combat's over, you're back to full health. So,
Beauty.
I think only Radava took damage in that fight, which is whatever. But you're now back up to full health, so it's as if nothing really happened. All right. Cool. All right, Martan, you have just made your discovery in the boat. What would you like to do?
I'd like to make a roll to see if I know what this object is.
All right, go ahead and make a knowledge education roll, and the DC that you're trying to beat is a 25.
All right. That ain't gonna do it. 12.
12? All right, yeah, this doesn't look familiar to you. You've not seen or heard of anything that quite fits this description before. It looks like it was stored as something valuable, but it also appears as though the bandits didn't know what it was either and don't understand why something like this would have any sort of specific value, so they didn't bother hanging on to it or moving it over to their camp.
Right. Well, based off the fact that it's in its own box, and I look around. Is Nicholas near us, or is he still up on the ridge?
Yes. So once combat has ended, everybody kind of gathered up on the shore. This has given you time to talk with that one surviving bandit. You just had Radava execute him before you searched this, but during all of that process, everybody has come down. So yes, Nicholas is down on the beach with you.
I turn. Nicholas, there's something peculiar.
Yes. Yes. Let me take a look. And he is going to come over, and I guess he will do the same thing. So let me pull up his sheet real quick. Alright.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
We shall find out.
Even he doesn't know.
I gotta make him roll for it, too. He's studied... Alright. I think he's got one more bonus dice than you do. Oh, okay. He rolled 3 6s. And a 4. Oh, no. 22. That's still not high enough.
Nicholas.
No one knows.
He looks it over. Says, it's not something that I'm familiar with. Maester Hargreave may know. I'm not sure. Would anyone else care to take a look?
And Solly's just gonna shake his head like this, like, nope.
Rodova looks over at it and just,
All right. Well, I'm gonna have Voro take a look at it too. He has an extra regular dice and an extra bonus dice, so he's got the best chance. Oh, that's not great. Let's see. Nope, he doesn't either. All right. Voro takes a look at it as well, and I've not seen rock quite like this before. To glisten like that, I've not seen it. It's like, yes, I think perhaps we should get the Maester to take a look at it. See what he thinks. We can pack it on our mule that we brought with us. There should be plenty of room there for an extra box.
While all that's going on, Radova's gonna have made his way over to look at some of the gathered supplies off in that little cove near the boat, just to see if there's anything worth picking up and taking back, or
so
maybe pocketing.
At the end of the last session, I gave you guys a list of the stuff that was there, but I still have it, so I can pull that up. All right, so you've
I
got.
want to say it was a pretty hefty list.
Yeah, it was a few things.
I think that you said it all, and we were all like,
yeah. I just gave you the summary, but yeah, I'll give it to you again. You've got that box with the black rock in it. You've found various silver and copper pieces worth a total of 1,248 silver stags.
That's right.
So if somebody wants to write that down. You also found a castle-forged stiletto, which effectively it's a regular stiletto, but it adds a +1 to hit. So just an extra little bit of advantage when you're trying to hit somebody and get those degrees of success. You also found 2 normal-sized shields in working condition, and some various spears, just a bunch of different weapons that look to be low-grade or poor quality. A few suits of leather and mail that were worn by the bandits and pirates, all of which are worn and damaged, but they could be sold to an armorer to be used in some way there. And then the rest of it was just, you each got 10 experience, and the group got 1 glory point. So I can go over the experience and the glory point and what you can do with those again, if you guys want. I'll at least go over the glory point, because that one's a little tricky.
What was before the glory point?
10 EXP.
10 experience, yeah.
10?
Mm-hmm. Which is enough to gain a specialty in something, which is a bonus dice. So you could take your bow to 6 bonus dice if you wanted to, or you could get any of the other specialties that are on that page, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's on that rule book. And then I've also got a list of them right here if you need to just read them in. You can spend that experience, or you can save it to get a rank in an ability later on. Those cost 30. And destiny points, if you want a destiny point to invest in a benefit or just to use in game sessions, those are 50 points. So, and that's all that you're going to be using experience points for, is those 3 things.
Yeah, it's very freeform.
Yeah, it's
system.
a lot more fluid than a traditional level up system like in D&D, which I think allows you to, kind of develop your character as it goes along instead of choosing a path and then kind of having to, pick branches.
Did you say that you could use it to increase your rating in something?
Yes. You need 30 experience to increase your rating.
Got it.
So, soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the glory point, the way that those work is you guys as a group have a point which you can use at any one point during each session to grant you an additional bonus dice on a test, whatever test you want. It can exceed the normal bonus dice limitations. So normally you guys are limited by how many bonus dice you can have by the rank you have in that ability. So Thali, with your bow skill at a 7, you can only have 7 bonus dice in that skill, which is a ton. However, if you have like a 2 in fighting, you can't have 3 bonus dice in long swords or whatever, in long blades.
Right.
You can only have 2. So you can only have the number of bonus dice to equal your rank. But if you use a glory point, it can exceed that. So, and if you choose, you can invest that glory point into your house as a resource, and it can be one resource of whatever you want it to be. But once it's invested, you can't pull it back out or use the bonus dice benefit anymore. So, just so that you are aware of how that is used, so that you can use it when you want. The way that I'm using this is you can use that bonus dice once per session. So it'll refresh each session. Okay. So, that being said, if anyone wants to use bonus dice at any point from here on out, let me know. I would let you retroactively use it on the test that you already did, but Martan, you weren't close enough for a bonus dice to really help you there, so there's not really a point.
Unfortunately.
All right, that is it for the loot that you guys found on the beach. Yeah, what do you guys want to do next?
I mean, while they figure out, where they're going from here with the glass rock, I almost made a. Never mind. I'm just gonna keep that one to myself.
Okay.
I'm just gonna move away from that. Radova is gonna go through and just kind of pick through what's there. Take kind of the best looking pieces and set them aside. And kind of gesture to I think it's Sir Merrick that's still on horseback.
He's not still on horseback. He's dismounted to do all of this stuff. But yes, he's there.
And kind of point out all of this to him. Let him, somebody with real authority decide what they want to do with all these goods.
Well, I think we should take back what we can. Certainly the coin, the box. If anyone wishes to use these shields, you are welcome to them. The stiletto, of course, is anyone who wants it. As for the arms and armor, you could take that back if you wish. The armor might have some value. The weapons, likely not much, but I will leave that up to you if you wish to take them. The bodies of these bandits and pirates, we might as well leave to rot on the beach. I don't think they deserve much better.
Well, it'll keep the birds fed for a while at least.
Yeah, and at that, you notice that they are, still quite active on this beach. Especially now that they have a lot more food, a lot more corpses to pick from, and you can already see some of the crows have started landing on some of the fresh bodies and are starting to peck out the eyes as you speak. Yeah, and it's the fresh bodies aren't anything pretty to look upon. The not fresh bodies are horrifying. They are, like I said last time, bloated, but they have also been stripped of any valuables, and their clothing and skin is torn and rotting. It is a ghastly mess on this beach. So Sir Merrick Sand starts to pack everything up and prepare to get out of this smelly zone as quickly as he can.
Get out of the smelly zone.
Yeah. So he is preparing to leave the beach at the very least.
Okay.
And everybody else is kind of getting ready to do the same. Getting their horses back and calmed down, away from all the crows and all of the stench of death. Is there anything else anyone wants to do on the beach?
I mean, this doesn't have to happen on the beach, but Thali's gonna call over to Radova and say, Einhand, have you use of the stiletto, or are you looking to get rid of it?
Oh, I'm fairly comfortable with my own knife. I was thinking, if nobody else wanted to claim it, it would make a nice little present, reminder, memento for the young lord. But if you've need of it, by all means, take it with you.
Well, let's give it to the boy then.
Seems a decent thing to do. Something nice out of a hellish experience.
Kind of
Okay.
shakes his head and turns around and walks back towards his horse.
And with that, as things are getting packed up and moved away, Radova will take the stiletto and wander over towards Martan and kind of offer it up. Here, a little something to remember your trip by, since they are so few and far between.
I don't really need that. What use am I to get of it? I'd rather forget this whole horrible... Before he can get the word ordeal out, he takes in a breath and just brings a sachet of scents in his wrist and brings up. Keep it. And walks away.
Suit yourself, lad.
Yeah, I love that Martan has a sachet with scents and that it got used. That's an item that I saw in there. I was like, when is this going to be useful ever?
Right now.
Yep.
Right now.
Literally,
this is the time.
Yeah,
Rotting
the
corpses,
third
dude.
session. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried. And Radova will immediately tuck the stiletto into his belt and walk away like nothing happened.
All right. Is there anything that you wish to do before making your way back to Skrel Castle? Because as it stands right now, the beach is cleared of any threats, so there is not much else to do here.
Yeah, I think aside from us doing what we did, looking for anything that's worth anything, just packing it up and heading back.
All right. Well, it is kind of mid-afternoon at this point. The trip back, I will not make you guys roll all of the horse things again.
Blessings.
It's more important when we're in a hurry or when there's, when travel times are going to be necessary for important events. But at this point, you're just heading back to Skrel Castle. So Sir Merrick will get everyone kind of set and start leading the way back. Camp early that night to get plenty of rest before continuing on the next morning. If you don't have anything that you wish to do over the trip back, I will just take us back.
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular.
Nope.
All right. Over the course of the next 2 full days and then a little bit more on the 3rd day, you make your way back across the plains of Skrel Island back to the castle. You didn't take the boats down the river, so you're not taking them back. You're just able to ride all the way back up and into the town, back to the castle. On approaching the castle, you are greeted by guards at the gate who immediately recognize you and send word into the castle. And the first person to come out and meet you is a woman. Let me pull up. Yeah, you see an olive-skinned, black-haired, brown-eyed woman, and this is the Lady Inera Foros. This is Martan's mother. She is wearing a bronze circlet over kind of the crown of her head, and while in her kind of early middle age, she still has very fine, elegant features, and you can tell that she's come from wealth, as she is wearing her favorite blue damask gown trimmed in Moorish lace, and she comes out to greet you. Oh, Martin, it's good to see you back home. Safe. I'm glad you guys were able to bring him back. Welcome. I know that my lord husband will wish to see you all as soon as possible, but Martan, it is good to see you. And she rushes up and just gives you a big ol' hug, not caring how sweaty and disgusting you are after riding for essentially a week without any sort of bathing or anything like that. So you're probably pretty smelly. Although you do have that sachet to help you. And you guys all know Lady Inera. She's been a fixture in this place for as long as you can remember. She is the wife to Lord Baylor. She's the lady of Skrel Island. She was born the second daughter to a Tyroshi merchant. Tyrosh is the free city closest to you. It is one of the Stepstone Islands, closer to Essos than Westeros. It is a little bit north and east of you on your island. That is where she is from. She has a keen mind and is very perceptive, making her excellent at negotiating. So good, in fact, that she negotiated her own betrothal to the Westerosi Lord Baylor Skrel. Instead of a traditional dowry, she asked that a new section of the Blue Wharf be developed for her family to use as their own private port on the island. This district not only became a hub for exotic trade, but a gathering place of many of the wealthier merchants on their visits, making both her new and old families richer. Inera's marriage has been lukewarm, producing 2 children, but otherwise there's little evidence of affection between the two. So that is the Lady Inera. She welcomes you all and ushers you inside the castle, and informs you that you are welcome to take the time to kind of refresh yourselves, but that Lord Baylor wishes to see all of you in his solar at your earliest convenience. So you guys are let to get cleaned up, freshen up before meeting Lord Baylor in the solar. Is there anything anyone wants to do here?
I'm gonna freshen up for sure.
Yeah.
As he leaves to freshen up.
Yeah, as he physically actually leaves, yes.
Bye.
Well, I do want to the bath, clean, because I'm gross. And then I also want to find my sister.
Okay.
Lorena.
All right, yeah. Easy enough to do. She still lives in this castle. You know where her quarters are. She is easy enough to find. You knock on her door, and she opens it. Martin, it's good to see you. And she jumps on you, giving you a big hug, and backs up. So, you're back safe and sound. What was it that you found?
So, there was a boat, and
A very strange enchanted boat.
there wasn't a man with no mouth, but he shudders. There was a man with no tongue, dressed in Septim's clothing. And then there was a box.
A box.
with a
She
stupid
perks up.
lock inside it.
Yeah, she perks up at the sound of this mysterious box. Yes, go on.
With a stupid rock inside of it. I mean,
A rock?
it isn't anything I've seen before, but Nicholas didn't know what it was. Worthless. So, perhaps Mr. Hargreave will know.
I'm sure he will. At the very least, he should be able to point us in the right direction.
I'll be disappointed if this was all for nothing and just some stupid coincidence.
I can't say why, but I don't think it was a waste.
Well, I hope you're right. It was disgusting. And it's good to be back. It's good to be home and clean. Good to see you.
Yes, and you as well.
I think Father wanted to see us.
Yes, I'm sure he will want to know what you found. Were there any survivors?
Not by the end of it. I'll just leave it at that.
She doesn't pry. You can tell that she's interested, though. She very much wants to know what has transpired here, but she's not going to pry.
If you want to hear the tale, I'm sure Father wouldn't mind if you joined us in his solaire.
All right, I'll accompany you. Give me one moment. And she goes and freshens up a little bit before joining you. Just puts on some finer clothes and joins you. Yes, I assume everybody's good to go ahead and go to the solar?
Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know where, I mean, where did we get those horses from? From the castle or from Blue Wharf?
From the castle. You got them from
Okay.
the stables of the castle. So
I mean, I guess we returned the horses to the stables and...
yeah, I'm skipping over that for convenience. But yes, you would have returned the horses to the stables, and yeah, that's easy enough to do. That's you do that. Have done that on occasion before.
And I guess, I mean, Thali would have probably gone back to wherever he lives or bathes to go bathe.
Thali and Radova, you both have quarters inside the castle. So
Okay.
you stay here as well. Yeah, all right. The three of you make your way with Martan, with Lorena, to the Lord's Solar, where you find Lord Baylor and Maester Hargreave already talking across the table. You also see Sir Clace Harker and Sir Marcus Cantel there. Not in the conversation currently, but just kind of sitting there listening and waiting. as you come in and take your seats, you are welcomed by those in attendance. There is refreshments, food and drinks on the table already. And Lord Baylor begins with, "Yes, welcome. It is good to see you all safe and sound. Thank you, Sir Merrick, for taking care of my son. Thank you, Thali, Iron Hand, Voro, Nim, Nicholas. I'm glad you all made it back. So, what happened?" And Sir Merrick will kind of quickly relay the travel, the events at the beach to Lord Baylor, the combat, and when it gets towards the end of the combat scene, he will, and we had one that stayed alive long enough for us to question. Martan interrogated him. Martan, why don't you take over here?
And I kind of give a look at him and then around the table and to my father. Well, like he said, there was one left, and well, we asked him questions that made sense. What they were doing, what happened, and they were nothing but brigands, plunderers and thieves. He kind of looked down. He said he didn't want to rot in a cell and that he'd take the black. I didn't think he would make it to the wall. Not from here. And then that's that.
You didn't think he would make it to the wall? He's not been brought here. What did you do with him?
He's dead, Father.
And who gave the order? He looks over at Sir Merrick Sand, who looks over at you and kind of inclines his head over to you. And Lord Baylor, you see, is surprised. Takes a moment. Good. I think he got what he deserved. You're right. I wouldn't want to spare a ship to take him to the wall. And that kind of trash doesn't need to be on the seas anymore. I think you made the right call, son.
Thank you, Father.
He takes a minute, kind of digesting all of that. And it's been made clear at this point that the bandits that you guys fought had come across the survivors of a shipwreck, but the shipwreck, it looks like, at least the survivors of it, seemed to be pirates themselves, based on what equipment they had with them and the kind of smattering of weapons, armor, coin. It looks like bandits killed pirates on the beach, with the notable exception of the Septon. But Sir Merrick Sand did not make mention of the Septon, so yeah. it's as he kind of takes all of this in, and he looks over at Sir Merrick Sand again and says, "How safe do you think the south side of the island is now with that group gone?" And Sir Merrick says, "Well, there were almost 20 of them. I would be surprised if they would send out a detachment from another camp. It wouldn't make sense for them to not come in full force. So I think that was likely all of that group. There may be others in that area, but I think we got all of the ones that were there." And Lord Baylor nods. It's good. Well, while you have been gone, Maester Hargreave and I have discussed, and we think that it is prudent to make use of the rocks on the south side of the island and mine them for ores. We're going to build a mine. As it stands right now, it seems like with the equipment and the supplies that we've got, that it will take around 3 years. I think that this is largely due to the shortage of timber. We're going to have to source that from other places, or simply use the small bit of lumber that we can find on the island. I do think that if we could manage to secure lumber from somewhere else, that we might be able to expedite the process a little bit. Was there anything else from the beach? Did you... I guess they had killed all of the survivors. Was there anything else? Sir Merrick said that you brought back some coin and some weapons.
Is Maester Hargreave there?
He is.
Who had the box? Who took the box? Did I take the box?
The box was on one of the mules, so if it would have Sir Merrick would have let you hang on to that. You're the one that found it. He let you hang on to it after unloading everything.
Okay. I guess retroactively, I'll say I gave it to Nicholas.
Okay.
And that so you could show it to Maester Hargreave.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then I'll bring that up. So, Maester Hargreave, did you look at the rock in the box?
Well, a rock in a box. What? And at this point, Nicholas says, "Oh yes, of course." And he brings the wooden box and places it on the table in the solar, and opens it up and pulls out the 3-foot-long, roughly cylindrical chunk of black, shiny rock and sets it on the table. And Maester Hargreave immediately says, "Where did you find that?"
It's in the boat, like the dream I told you about, under a body of a septon with no tongue.
Septon with no tongue. Removing tongues is a common enough practice as punishment for many crimes, but a septon, it is odd. Well, the I do know what this is. And here I'm going to give you guys a little bit of just a background on maesters in general, and so that the audience watching gets an idea, a little bit of more in-depth of what the maesters are. They are an order of scholars, healers, and messengers and scientists. They educate new students at the Citadel, which is located in Old Town in the Reach of Westeros. Maesters can be sent by the Citadel to serve at the holding of a lord throughout the Seven Kingdoms. They wear a collar to remind them of the realm that they serve. When he completes his education and takes his vows, a maester puts aside his house name and swears an oath of celibacy. Numerous subjects are taught at the Citadel, including history, healing, herb lore, the speech of ravens, the building of castles, navigating by the stars, the measurement of days, and the marking of seasons. They make star maps, monitor temperature variations and the march of the seasons so that they can advise on what to plant and when to expect a harvest, and measure the length of the days as to determine the change of seasons. This world, remember, is dissimilar to ours in that the seasons are not symmetrical. They sometimes last for years at a time. So this is how they kind of keep track of when a season changes. The maesters keep track of all that. Maesters advise their lords on the operation of their households and lands. They can be tasked with writing letters for their lords as well, and are in charge of the ravens used as messengers. Maesters assist in childbirth, treat illness, and teach children arithmetic, language, and history. That's why he's serving as Martan's instructor while he grows up. A maester can be recognized by the chain he wears around his neck. The links of the chain can be made of every metal known to man, and by earning their links, students forge their chain. Maesters never remove their chain, not even when sleeping, and it is considered a great shame for a maester to surrender his chain. Each link on that chain, each different kind of metal, represents mastery of a different subject. So there are a bunch of different kinds of metal linked all together in this chain that is around Maester Hargreave's neck. Maester Hargreave pulls out his chain and kind of shows you the links around it. It's a tight chain, unlike what you may have seen in that dragon show, where it was hung way down. They're usually pretty small and pretty tight. And he goes around the links and pulls up a dark metal that looks like it has ripples and folds many hundreds of times over in it. And you guys recognize this as a Valyrian steel link in a chain. He highlights this one. He says, "This link is one that maesters forge when to show their mastery of the higher mysteries. Magic was once a part of the world, but it is long since gone. I forged this link at the Citadel while studying there. What you have brought back to us is called a glass candle. It's made of obsidian and what many of the small folk would call Dragonglass. It's found in volcanoes. They were used in ancient Valyria by sorcerers, and it was claimed that when they burned, those sorcerers could see across mountains, seas, and deserts. That they could give men dreams and visions and communicate with one another half a world apart, but none have been burning for more than 100 years. They are very rare. As such, they are valuable. No one knows how to light them. It is thought to have been done with magic, but magic no longer exists, so we use it at the Citadel now. The night before an acolyte says his vows, he must stand vigil in a vault with nothing but 3 black glass candles in the room, with no other light permitted. He has to spend the night in darkness unless he can light the candle, which, of course, they never do. This ritual is to show that even with all the knowledge that one has acquired, there are still some things that are impossible. They have value to collectors. The maesters In the Citadel, keep those 3 black candles. I believe there's also an Archmaester of the Citadel who oversees their care and maintenance. There's another one there, I believe, as well. They may hold some interest for the Maesters. It could be sold to a collector. It's a very valuable thing. But as it is inert, it's not useful for much more than that, I'm afraid. And Lord Baylor will kind of nod. Martan, you've made quite the discovery. I will leave it to you to decide what is to be done with it.
I think I'll keep it.
That is your right.
Maester Hargreave, is there more that you can tell me about this Dragonglass and their old magics?
Oh, well, Dragonglass was used by the children of the forest long ago when they fought the First Men. The First Men brought weapons of bronze, and they were vastly superior to the weapons of the children. These Dragonglass arrows and spears wouldn't hold up to the bronze of the First Men, so they suffered gravely at the hands of the First Men and were driven out of the world eventually, and haven't been seen for hundreds of years. Other than that they were used by the children of the forest, they do make rather decent, sharp objects when chipped. I don't know of any other magical or legendary uses of these, but I might be able to find more in my books. It might be worth consulting.
Yes, if you could. But how is it made?
Oh, it's made in the heart of volcanoes. It is when rock is so hot that it liquefies and then hardens. It is a kind of a frozen rock, frozen lava, if that makes sense. Yes, a superheated rock that cools quickly and forms into large blocks of obsidian that can be chipped and mined. I know that Dragonstone used to have a mine of Dragonglass, but I don't believe anything has been made there in many, many hundreds of years. Is there anything else that you wish to know about it? Or anything else that I can perhaps look into?
Just what I've asked. I thank you.
Yes.
Nicholas didn't know what it was. I figured he didn't have his links and you do. Having you have a look was probably the most prudent.
Yes, well, it's not something that most acolytes or novices are let known about, but any maester of the Citadel who has said his oath has stood vigil before the 3 glass candles in the Citadel, so any maester with a chain would recognize that. And he looks over at Nicholas and kind of gives him a little sly smile. It's like, I've one-upped you here. By getting my maester's chain, actually. Proof that I know more than you do. And Nicholas rolls his eyes and shakes his head. And Lord Baylor says, well, interesting. Well, back to the matter at hand. I think we can go ahead and begin construction, but I do want us to go ahead and see if we can find a source for lumber if we can. The stepstones, the islands themselves are not home to many forests, but there is one on the island north and east of us. The next closest forest would be the Rainwood and the Stormlands, and the Stormlands have no love for the Dornish, so I would rather avoid that if we could. The island of Arlen, north and east of us, ruled over by House Tide. That might be an option, if we can make contact with him. I haven't spoken to him or made much communication since the War of the Usurper 15 years ago. It would be good to make contact there again.
And where was that?
That is House Tide. Sorry, what?
Did you say Greenstone?
No, it is one of the stepstones. The name of the island is Arlon. Arlon. And it is ruled over by House Tide, spelled the way that George R. R. Martin spells everything, where he replaces the I with a Y.
Why?
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
and Lord Baylor says, yes, Lord Cameron rules Arlen currently. He brought his forces here to prepare for battle with the War of the Usurper. There is the otter wood on his island that I think would provide ample lumber for our needs. But as we haven't spoken in a while, and unfortunately he may harbor some ill will towards us, the War of the Usurper was not easy on everyone, and he suffered during it. Bringing his ships here, he was a very boisterous man, always drinking with his soldiers and his sons. But as we never left the wharf, he never saw combat, which I know that he and his family were much looking forward to, and because ultimately the Targaryens lost the war, his house lost influence and power as well, and have suffered as we have all suffered. It would be good to make good terms with him again. I feel like this is more than just words brought on raven's wings. I'd like to send an envoy.
Well, it certainly sounds like my kind of people.
Yes, Iron Hand, I dare say you will fit right at home. I definitely think that you and Folly should accompany. And as much as I am loath to admit, I think it makes the most sense to send Martan again. You've proven yourself a decision maker in a difficult circumstance. And I know that you're good at negotiating. Clearly. You've convinced me to let you go along with this. And I'm going to have to let you live your own life at some point.
There's no way it will be as dirty as this last trip out.
I dare say not, though you will have to travel on board a ship for a few days to make it there. Arlen is roughly 100 miles north and east of us, and we'll have to circle around the western shore of our island to get there. You are welcome to take one of our ships. In fact, I insist on it. Thali, Ironhand, I think you should go with. Sir Merrick, I think you should stay with me here this time. I don't want Martan's authority to be questioned. But I also don't want to send you without a worthy escort. So I will instead send Sir Darren for Lauren. He is a young knight looking to prove himself. I think he will make excellent company. I will send him with you this time. And I want you to take the banners. Maester Hargreave, go ahead and dispatch a raven. Let them know that we'll be sending my son to speak with them about a potential trade agreement within the next week or so. Yes, my lord, immediately. Take a few days, get rested and recovered. I want to make sure that you guys are well prepared for this journey, so I will go ahead and get one of the ships prepared. Is there anything else that we need to prepare before I let you leave?
Father, if I should be speaking for the house, what would you have me? How shall I make a deal?
Yes, of course.
Wood is what we want?
Yes, we are trying to get lumber so that we can expedite the construction of the mine on the south side of the island. Obviously, this will take a measure of coin. And let me pull up the house sheet real quick, because I don't remember how much wealth you guys have left over. I will say that for the way that this... wait. No, it's not here. Yes.
I know we got a lot of it.
Yep. Well, you had a lot of it. You invested a lot of it in the actual mine itself. And I want to see...
Yeah, that mine is going to take 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as it stands right now, you have 2 wealth that is uninvested. I did not make a change to that on here, so I'm about to do that. Okay, so if you guys want to increase your wealth holdings... Whoops, let me make sure I didn't just screw everything up. I think I did. Alright, bringing it back. There we go. If you guys want to increase your wealth statistic by giving the house gold, it takes 200 gold pieces to increase your wealth by 1 point. So, effectively, you guys have, or the house has 400 gold dragons that it has not spent. Not invested in anything as of yet. That doesn't normally mean that you guys can just pull money out of there to use on buying yourself items and equipment. It is more for use for the house as a whole. That being said, with this kind of a trade negotiation, you will effectively be using that coin this way. So the gold that you have extra is part of that. But Lord Baylor also says, yes, the lumber that we need, I will say, if you can keep it within, I hesitate to admit, but I think if we can keep within 1,000 gold for enough lumber for this mine, over the next months and year, we should be able to raise that and send it to them as payment for the lumber. But I want you to go there with more than just this trade negotiation in mind. We've been far too long outside of touch with the lords around us. It would be good to strengthen relations with them as well. That's why I'm going to send you, Martan, to make these negotiations. A member of my house will carry more weight with the lords than simply sending a knight or other member of the household. I want to keep Lorena here to continue studying, to take over, but your value as an envoy is quite useful, so I would like to let you, let your gray swallow feathers take wing, as it were. So,
I'll not disappoint you, Father. Though I can't say anything about these two. And look over at Dolly and Radava.
Will be the picture of fine envoys, I'm sure.
I certainly hope
Probably.
We'll do what needs to be done.
so. Good.
That's true by a half.
Well, excellent. Maester Hargreave, I'm sure you will make sure that they are provided with the relevant maps and whatnot that they will require for the trip. He says, yes, of course, my lord. I will make sure that they have the map of the island as well as a map of the stepstones, just and a star map so that they can navigate there as quickly as possible. With good winds, they should be able to make the trip in as little as a little over 2 days. With poor winds, it won't take more than 3, so it won't take long to get there. They shouldn't see any danger on the seas. Our ships are sturdy. Which ship would you like them to take? And you guys, as a household, or the household of Skrel, has the unit of warships that you have, which is 5 ships. If you guys want to name them, you can. I'm not going to pressure you guys to do that right now, since I am springing that on you. But you do have 5 ships, and you'll be taking one of them on this journey. And if you want a specific name, since you guys are the players and I am the narrator, I will let you guys decide what the names of those ships are. The Grey Swallow was the name of the ship that Martan's grandfather sailed back when back during the War for the Ninepenny Kings, or the War of the Ninepenny Kings, when they founded House Skrel. So that ship may still exist if you want it to, but that has been, let's see, the War for the Ninepenny Kings was probably 20 years ago-ish, so it would be an older ship, but it would definitely still be viable. And then the other 4 you can name whatever, and or you can change the name of that one too. Yeah. So he spouts off the name of whatever ship you guys are going to take, and it's good. That'll be a. I'll send word to go ahead and get that ship ready. Was there anything else? Any other matters that needed to be brought forth? And at this point, Maester Hargreave will pipe up again. Oh yes, I almost forgot. Martan, you asked when last we spoke about red eyes. While you were gone, I did in fact look up red eyes and their significance. There aren't many mentions of them in my books, but Lord Bloodraven had red eyes. He was an albino, so he had very pale skin and hair, wore a cloak, and his eyes were, of course, red, as all albinos are. The only other mention I was able to find of red eyes was in descriptions of the children of the forest. I don't know how much we have really talked about them, but their holy men were known as green seers, and they were blessed with the abilities legend has to be able to see future events before they happened and things of that nature. And green seers had green eyes most of the time, but every so often there was one who had red eyes. That unusual with children of the forest. They legend says that they mostly had yellow eyes, but the holy men had green and rarely red eyes as well. I hope that helps further your knowledge. I'm not sure what else you may want to know, but I thought it prudent to at least give you that information at the earliest convenience, now that I was able to look that up.
Don't know if it's any use, but that is more than I knew. Thank you.
Yes, of course. If there's anything else you wish to know or me to look up in my tomes, you can leave it with me. It seems like you will be gone for at least a week, maybe longer, so I will have ample time to go through my books and tomes and see what I can find. Lord Baylor, I do think it would be prudent of us to send Nicholas with young Lord Martan again, so that he can serve to advise and continue instruction with the young lord while he is away. Also, I think it would be wise to send ravens so that we can stay at least in some communication while they are there. I've got, I think, 3 birds here that we can send that know the way back to this castle, so we should be able to stay in communication while while they are away. Yes, of course. Nicholas, do you have any opposition to that? He looks up and says, of course not, my lord. I would be more than happy to accompany the young lord with everyone on his trip. It's been a long time since I've been on the ocean. It'd be good to see the sunrise over the sea again. And Lord Baylor nods, acquiesces. Good. Well, feel free to take a few days. There's not really any great rush, but I would like to go ahead and see if we could get these negotiations begun as soon as possible. Take what time you need. Take the next several days and make your preparations. rest up. I know that you've had several days of hard riding. I'm sure a nice bed will be welcome, and I don't want to rob you of that too early unnecessarily. And then after that, we will see you off. And at this point, the main discussion of the meeting is over. If there's anything else that anyone wishes to bring up, now's the time.
Yeah, I don't think anything comes to mind.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and like to would like to kind of get an idea of what I know about the history of is it Arlen? And what's the name of the family that is there?
House Tide. Lord Cameron. Yeah, Lord Cameron is the Lord. Yeah, go ahead and excuse me, make a knowledge education check.
Right. 9.
9. Okay.
And very important tonight.
Yeah. How did you get a 9? You must have rolled really, really terrible.
Yeah, with 5 dice. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 3s, 1, and a 2.
Wow, that's brutal. You were not yet born when Lord Cameron was here during the War of the Usurper. So you have never met him. You know that he and his 3 sons came here in preparation for the invasion. You know that because of your father's indecision in when the fleet was going to leave and where they were going to go, cost everyone that was assembled, not just your household and House Tide, but everyone that was gathered there, it cost them all any ability to change the events of that war. A lot of the Dornish lords hold enmity against you because of this, because the Targaryens did ultimately lose the war, and it is unknown whether or not the fleet that you guys had assembled would have been able to make a difference there. But yeah, the option was never given. So you know that House Tide lost influence at court, lost their ability to do anything in the war. You know from what your father just said that he was a boisterous man, loud, like I said, liked to drink with his soldiers and just kind of carry on. With a 9, you would also know that he was looking forward to the glory that his family would win in the battles during that war. But after the defeat of the Targaryens, the fleet was dispersed and they took their ships back to Arlen. And as your father has said, they have not really stayed in contact with you since then. Even though they are one of the closest islands to Skrel Island. And just for the watchers at home, I actually have the map pulled up so that they can see which island I'm talking about. Let's see. Reference. So this is the island of Skrel, and this kind of long, thin island right here is the island of Arlen. next to Grey Gallows. And you guys, the players, can't see what I'm talking about right now, but it is north and east of you, and if you look up one of the links that I have in the Discord is of the interactive Game of Thrones map. If you pull that up, it is the island pretty much directly north of Skrel. Looks, I don't know, just like a, I don't know, is it a forward slash? Kind of like a jagged forward slash.
Like a little snake.
Yeah. And actually, I can show you exactly what the island looks like because it is in... If you guys have the Roll20 up, I wasn't really planning on using it at all tonight, but I do have... Where's my version of it? How did I have that? I have. Yeah, if you go ahead and pull that up, I will draw your attention to Skrel Island and just give you a brief overview of what it looks like. We'll go into more depth, obviously, once we get... Oh, no, I don't have it on here either. Never mind. You won't be able to see it yet. I have it... There is a map that exists already. I'll say that much.
Good enough.
Yeah, their holdings are... They don't have a castle. There is no castle on Arlen. They instead hold court in a fortified hall. There is also a tower on the southern end of the island. The northeastern end of the island is where the town of Arlen is and where their hall is. The Otter Wood makes up the essentially middle of the island, and there's also a ruin on there and a couple of little streams as well. But I'll show you guys that map when we get there. The three sons that Lord Cameron has were young. Really, only two of them were of fighting age, or would have been of fighting age during the War of the Usurper. But you know that Lord Cameron did, in fact, bring all three of his sons with him when they came here. One of them, like I said, was too young to have taken part in any battles, but his father wanted to bring him along for all of the rest of it. So, and they made their way back to Arlen, like I said, after the fleet dispersed at the end of the war. And that is the extent of your knowledge on House Tide Lord Cameron on Arlen Island.
Now that I know this for myself, I look at Nicholas and... Nicholas, could you study up on history of House Tide before we leave? I'd like you to know something of use you could tell me before we get there.
Yes, my lord. I apologize for not knowing about the glass candle, but I will take your comments in stride. Yes, I will look up everything that I can find, and with the high and mighty Maester Hargreaves' assistance, I am sure that we can find all of the relevant information for you. And I will make copies that we can take with us and discuss on the journey. All right. Anything else?
Did Lorena show up?
She was there with you the whole time. She has just been kind of quietly observing. You go ahead and make an awareness empathy check. In fact, anybody who wants to can do this. 6. All right.
I don't know how good I am at that. Not very.
I don't either.
Not very.
Your awareness should be pretty good, even though you
my awareness is
may or
okay,
may not
yeah.
have any bonus dice in empathy. But...
Yo, I rolled a 16.
Dang. What does your
14.
awareness look like?
3, dog. I rolled 2 6s and a 4.
Nice. Yeah,
I
you
rolled
don't.
a 14.
Okay. All right. Martan, in the discussion of the glass candle, you were focused on learning about it and not really focused on your sister's reaction to it. Although you did notice that she perked up when it was brought out. Thali, you, sitting across the table from her, were able to watch both of their reactions and notice that she was very intrigued by this mysterious and kind of legendary thing, this piece of lost history, this magical talisman that is inert. Excuse me. And Iron Hand. Over and above that, you pick up a subtlety. Well, no, actually, Iron Hand, you rolled lower than Thali, didn't you?
I did.
Or did you? You did. Okay.
Yeah, by
What
2 points.
I just told Thali is what I actually told you. And now what I am telling Thali is that he noticed that in the description, the revelation of what this was, her eyes kind of glaze over, and she kind of is seemingly kind of in her own thoughts. You just kind of see her nod to herself a little bit before kind of coming back to the group and paying attention. And that's what you notice.
Okay. Is this meeting still taking place?
Yes, unless there is nothing else that you guys wish to do. If there is nothing else that you wish to do, then we can adjourn and split off for the next couple of days for you guys to do things and stuff.
If everyone does start standing up, I will put the candle back in the case, the Dragonglass candle back in the case, and I look at my sister and say, "Will you come with me to my room?"
Yes, of course. Right away. Do you want to go right now?
Yes.
All right. Yes, of course. And Lord Baylor, kind of at the end, says, "Oh, before I forget, Sir Merrick Sand says that you brought coin back with you. Is that correct?"
Oh, I rather a bit, and handful of arms and armor with it. Some of the better pieces we found. They'd stockpiled quite a lot, and of course there were bits and pieces being used by the groups themselves, but most of it was older and well and trashed by the time we got there. But we brought back what we could, what could be salvaged, what could be useful to us or to someone else for arms and armor or more coin.
Good. Well, I think that it stands to reason that some of you deserve a bit of a bonus, and we now have some spare coin. Why don't you split that amongst yourselves and take a few days and recuperate? Lord Martin, you, I think, are cash rich, so maybe let the men of the household save their coin, and you can just keep the candle.
I would more than agree with you, Father.
You're too kind.
So, if you guys want, Sir Merrick will take a portion, as will Nicholas, Nim, and Voro, but Go ahead and let me. I didn't
Gonna
actually
say.
calculate it out. Let me pull it up and see what it would actually be. What did I say it was? How much?
Some odd thousand.
Yeah.
Silver
Let's
stags.
see.
By the time I had the wherewithal to write it down, the number had gone away.
4, 5. Yeah, go ahead and add 250 silver stags to your whatever you have.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That almost perfectly worked out, and I did not intend that. So. It's just luck of the draw there. Okay, yeah, you guys have some cash now. You have a few days that you can take to go to some shops or what have you. If there's anything that you wished to pick up for yourselves before this voyage, I can kind of pull up the shopping list, or we can take care of that another time if you guys want to take time to look over on your own. But the did anyone want the shields? I think Martan, you already have one, right?
Do.
You do? Okay, yeah. Did
I'm
anyone
probably
else?
not gonna mess. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna mess with the shield.
Too?
I
Yeah.
pocketed the dagger, so stiletto.
Yeah. Yeah, so if
The
you
rest
just
of
want
it.
to add Castle Forged Stiletto to your equipment, the way that... Let's see if I can pull that up. So it's just a normal stiletto with +1 to hit.
It's got, so it's what, 6 test
Let's
dice,
see.
agility damage, and piercing 2.
Yes.
As
So
a
that,
baseline.
yeah, that's right. Where is it on this list? There it is.
Which is
Very
stiletto.
bottom. Yeah, and it deals damage based on your agility, but not minus anything.
Yep.
So.
So now I might accidentally be able to match Thali for damage done per fight. Almost. He's got the range advantage still, but
Yeah, and the triple shot. That
and
doesn't hurt
yeah.
either.
Oh yeah, no, the but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, and yeah, for the weapons and armor, if you guys want to sell that stuff to armorers, which is really all that it's going to be worth doing now,
Yep.
you can just go ahead and add another 200 silver stags apiece to what you have currently.
Great.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was the idea.
With what you got and brought back, especially with the shields, since you guys aren't using those, that'll be worth that.
I'm rich.
Shields.
Armorers will not be able to really, you can't reforge armor, but you can kind of make it functional again. You can knock out the dents. It'll never be as strong as it was, so it won't be good quality. But most of what these guys had was, scored mail. You could see where some of the mail that they had been worn by multiple people, and you could only tell that because it had multiple cuts and holes in it from where its previous owners had been killed. But with mail, fortunately, you can patch that with new links, so that can be made functional again. The shields are of reasonable value since they're just regular shields, and a shield's gonna function as a shield if it's not broken. So so those are still they still hold their value.
Love that for us.
You've got 450 extra silver stags now, and I think Thali, that brings you up to a grand total of 500.
520.
520. I was close. Oh, right, because you made your money with the bets, with the archery bets that first day.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Iron Hand, I don't remember how much money you have, but
That puts me at a total of 850.
Nice. All right.
Drinks are on me for the first couple rounds.
Yeah, if it's just drinks you're buying with that, you're gonna be there for a while.
That would be anyway.
All right. So, aside from like actually getting on board ship or doing whatever you guys want to do over the next couple of days, I don't really have much more tonight. If you guys want to do like picking out items, if there's anything that you want to spend that money on tonight, you can let me know. If you wish to spend your experience, you can let me know now, and we can go ahead and get those things changed. Otherwise, that is all I've got for you tonight. We can pick up next session with the shopping and the voyage, if you guys are good with that.
Awesome.
I think that sounds great.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, I do want to talk with my sister, but that can.
Oh, right. Sorry, I mean,
sorry. It can wait till next week. I mean, it's not really going to concern anybody else. So.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we pick up there next week? That'll provide something with a little bit more interest than telling you guys that you get on ships. Yeah, and shopping. Yeah. Let's start next session off with some interesting dialogue between two characters. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. That'll end tonight's session. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Toodles.